Hello and welcome back to High Ridge Farm with me, the Walrus, as I'm continuing through the glorious winter season and, of course, discovering that today the random aquatic market turns up. I'm pretty sure that's not actually its real name, but it's a good descriptor of what on earth it is. Of course, each day that the market is here, then I can purchase a particularly unique piece of art from the famous painter Lupini, and I can fish in a submarine. I've also got the opportunity to go and visit a mermaid for a pearl, and if memory serves, I think I actually remember the sequence that is required to get the pearl. It's not particularly difficult, I will freely admit. You just have to listen. Really. It's one of those sorts of things. I played a lot of Zelda as a kid and games like it, so that sort of style of puzzle, not the end of the world for me. Now, of course, one of the things that you can see I'm doing is I'm planting more and more of these glorious winter forageables, which are lovely. I can never have too many of those, although we are halfway. We're going to be 3/4 of the way through our winter season, which will be interesting. Just smash that repeatedly. Okay, kitty cat, I'm going to go and water your bowl. Bloop. Yeah. Good old Cinder. If I can get myself a mod where I replace the cat with a guinea pig, then I will. That's what I need. That'd be amazing. Righty, so I'm just going to quickly smelt some of these because I do need some more iron bars, and I've also got an abundance of iron. And I have a sneaking suspicion that I'm going to have, well, I've got a lot of land that needs crops in here, so I do really need to buy some more seeds or get some more. I'm pretty sure I've got some mixed seeds that I can use, and, you know, a little bit of extra star fruit there, that's not bad. 3 seeds out of 1 crop. I think it has a chance to give you anything between 1 to 3, so hey, any extra is useful, especially when it comes to star fruit, because that's nice and helpful. So I'm going to take my big bundle of mixed seeds. I've got a feeling I'm going to end up growing something that's actually going to be annoying, and I'm going to have to destroy it at some point. But for the time being, I have nothing else to put in its place. And I don't want to leave the land fallow. Not at the moment, at least. So we're going to plonk those back in there. I mean, it looks nice enough, I guess. Just a mixed selection of guff. Righty. Now, down to the animals. And let's go visit them. Of course, I have a quest given to me by the lava eels, which is to get them a basalt. And the tricksy bit for that is that I need, as you can see there, I need either lava geodes or omnigeodes to get those. And it's not exactly a guaranteed drop or anything, so it's going to be a bit of a pain. Mostly because I'm an idiot and I've just been selling the damn stuff that I get out of those stones. I think I might actually need to hold on to a few. But again, more roe is nice. I think I should probably get another fish pond as well. Of course, the coop is being upgraded, as we saw in the end of the last episode, where I managed to get Robin to start the upgrade, which is lovely. And of course, I've got lots of mayonnaise there, which is going to be fantastic. That can all go into the machine, because mayonnaise, lovely stuff. Okay. Now, it's essentially trying to think about things that I want to do this week. One of them is to try to improve the friendship with people. And there are a few items that I can get a hold of that are generically useful. Like, everyone likes them. Of course, the difficulty is giving somebody a loved gift obviously is a lot more work, but it's more valuable to their friendship. And some I remember what they like. Others, not a Scooby-Doo. Which is kind of the issue I've got. Is kind of remembering what people actually like. So it's one of those sorts of things. It shouldn't be too difficult. Like, most people have a similar like for certain items. But others, of course, are a bit more positive. Okay. So I'm going to grab myself a couple of gemstones. And get myself ready to roll with that one. I really need to take a visit with all of those random weapons and rings to the weapons shop. The Adventurers Guild. There we go. Because it is a shame that you can't just throw them in the collection. But then again, I very much doubt Mayor Lewis would like to open a box just full of knives. I think that would probably confuse the poor old goat. I think that's quite reasonable, to be fair, though. Like, you open up a big box that you expect to have, like, lots of produce all packed ready, and then the farmer's just left in there just knives and hammers and things. You're like, what on earth? Okay, so the bone drop is feasible, but not as easy. So I'm going to go with the bug meat. The thing is, I'm reluctant to do it until I've got Ginger Island. But at the same time, it wouldn't hurt. Like, I could get it. I just have to kill lots of skeletons, I think. There we go, Hayley and Emily. Have some nice things. I don't blame you, Hayley. But hear me out. It's the winter. It's going to be cold. That's how this works. Absolute banana. Righty, so Pierre. Oh, Elliot wants a gold bar. That shouldn't be too difficult. I've got a couple anyway. And one of the advantages of the winter market is that everybody's there. So if you look, it's easy enough to find everyone. So that's not too bad. Now, thankfully, one of the things that I remember, one of the few, but there is one thing that I do remember, is that when going into the mines, if you're looking for bugs, you want to hit floors between 15 and 30. And conveniently, that's what I need. Because, of course, I need the bug meat more than anything. So, floor 15, here we go. Oh, look, there's some bugs. Eat sword. And I'm just going to slice my way through these horrible creatures. So, yeah, I need 100. Well, there's 3. It's going to be a lot of visits to the mines over the next few days, I think, just to get myself the required amount. It's annoying, but I'll live. It's just something that I need to do. Because, of course, I need to get the this one done. I think I've done a task for Willy. I can't remember. It would be helpful to remember. But at the same time, I can't exactly state that I'm a particularly clever individual. Or able to remember things. So, yeah, I'll live. One of the things I also do want to get a hold of is another couple of fish tanks. So I think it'd be quite nice. But also, if I get the opportunity to do a couple of quests for the wizard, because his rewards are pretty cool. Like, because you get the obelisk being able to be made. And it's really useful. Because you can teleport from one area to another. Yes, you still require a... They can only be placed with on the farm. But it's one of those things that I remember having on my main farm, that once I completed Ginger Island, being able to teleport from the bottom of to the top is quite helpful. Also, which I have done in the past, where I've played on a multiplayer one, which is obviously a much larger farm, because it's one of the nicer, bigger maps, and yeah, they were so helpful, because otherwise, good grief, real annoying. Okay, so I've got myself my free coffee, which is nice. And let's see, what does this gentleman have for sale? Candy canes, don't really care. Meh. No care for that one, I will freely admit. Ah, Abigail, have a big purple rock. Psst. Matches your hair. That's easy. Okay, so I can teleport back for 250. I do enjoy the fact that the woman with the travelling cart has got a random dinghy for it, which makes me laugh. Okay, so let's see what she's got for sale. Nothing that really major concern. Nothing super exciting there. So, aha! I forgot about this. So this one will be selling the spring seasonables. So that's a sneaky way of getting an early foot in the door, but don't really care right now. Let's see if I can pan for gold. Probably going to be iron, because it's usually iron. Oh no, it actually is gold. Okay, so the mermaid thing is kind of weird, to be fair. I'm not quite sure how she manages it, but in the middle of her song, she puts on a lot of weight. Out of nowhere. I mean, it's impressive. I mean, mermaids and fairies, they're strange creatures. They do what they do. But you can sort of tell that there's a tonal, like a 5-note sequence that you just need to remember for this song. Once you get your head around it, super easy. You know what I mean? You got all the... Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just closer to her and that's actually her actual size. Goodness knows. All the same, she's just going to keep singing. We've got some other mermaids. And... Thank you. Right, now. Memory serves. It is... This one, that one, and that one. There we go. Look at that. Real hard. We got a pearl. Not entirely sure what pearls are actually useful for, but I've got one. So, yay. It's an odd one. I mean, I know they're universally loved. They're like prismatic shards. I guess if I was desperate, I could just hand it to somebody as a gift. Maybe. Not too difficult. All the same, it's a thing. Okay, so on to the submarine doobery hoobery, which is lovely. And so I want to catch myself at least one of each of the fish from in here. So that's what? The midnight squid, the blobfish, and... Christ, what's the last one called? I think it's some form of guppy or something? Maybe? Or is it... I don't know. All the same, I need it. I need it. Or is it called a spookfish? I think it might be. It's one of those things, just remembering it, going, oh yeah, things, stuff. Here we go. Right, so... just need to catch a few more creatures. Which is, I think, reasonable. And once I catch a few, pretty much sorted. However, I always forget how long it takes to go back up to the surface from this submarine. There we go. So spookfish. So it's 1 o'clock. I think that gives me enough time. I'm going to be cutting it close if it doesn't. I'm going to have a look. Oh, I'm a bit worried. Oh. Come on, please, hurry. I don't really want to pass out here. On the farm, fair enough. That I could deal with, but... Okay, right. I'm going to teleport back to the farm for 250G. Thank you. And they send me to the teleporter. Oh no, I'm not going to make it. I'm so not going to make it. I'm going to get into the house, partway to the bed and collapse, aren't I? Ah, just got into the bedroom and there we go. Now I've just noticed something in my fish tank. I think in my not doing so well. Yeah, there it is. There's the godforsaken glacierfish. Damn it. I thought I hadn't caught it, but something must have happened. I'd either deleted the footage, like an idiot, or because of not being very well recently, my brain's just not been with it, and I've not really thought about stuff. And because of it, I haven't remembered that I actually caught the damn thing. And there was me thinking, this week, this is it, real important. I'm going to catch me that glacierfish. At least I didn't just waste hours of my time just trying to catch the dratted thing, considering it was already caught. Goodness gracious, do I feel like an idiot. But at least I know that it's done, and it's been caught and is achieved. So that's nice. Doesn't mean that I don't feel like a moron, however. But that's just how this rolls. Now I'm going to hold on to one of each of those two new fish that I've caught. I can't remember if there's much that they're going to generate in a fish pond. I can't decide if I do get more fish ponds, whether I have fish ponds that will generate items, or it's more about the value of the roe. Because if it's about the value of the roe, then I want lava eel ones, because they're the most valuable, if memory serves. Super cucumbers are also just quite useful because they give you the possibility of getting iridium, which is quite nice. I guess that's really it, isn't it? I've just got to think about what's going to be the most valuably useful to me at this point in time. Now, let's just quickly water all of these. Excuse me. One of the things I'm also going to have to start doing is actually thinking about how the crops are going to be done for the spring. It's only a couple of weeks away now at this point, and that's not too difficult. I've just got to get that sorted, because of course I kind of need that, and it's quite important to have an idea of what's going to be grown. What I might do is sort of plot it out with placing some of the sprinklers. I know there's the likelihood of getting the random miscellanea debris just appearing, because that's just how it works. But I think if I put the sprinklers down in the set positions where I want them, should theoretically give me enough of a block, so I know where stuff is. Now I've only got quality sprinklers spare, because I think I've used all the iridium ones that I physically had in the greenhouse. I think I can purchase another one from Krobus this week, which will be good, but I think that's kind of the way that's going to roll, is I'm going to have to wait for Krobus, or I'm going to have to end up back in the desert. And one of the problems I'm having with the desert is that I'm either not preparing myself enough with lack of food and other guff, or I'm not generally ready. Like, I'm not taking enough equipment in. Like, I need to be taking something more effective. Like, I need more healing. I need more defense. I need better rings, maybe. The problem I have is, from having played a lot of Final Fantasy and such as a kid, like having had it on the Game Boy and on the and SNES and that's those sorts of consoles and things, I got so used to the fact that if you go to a weapons shop and you buy an upgrade, you'll find something that's better within about 30 seconds because that's literally how it always works. Doesn't matter how often you'll be like, oh great, I can buy iron weapons, and then out of nowhere suddenly you'll get like a savagely good mithril one out of nowhere and you think, right, cool, I see how it is, I wasted money. But I'm really loath to waste money like that. So I know I need to get better equipment. I know it's really important. But I'm just like, I will struggle until I find something better. I will just struggle. I don't care. So yeah, bit of an idiot. But yeah. I think that's really the easiest way or sound that I can use to describe that. Because, you know, I am an idiot. Right, I need that gold bar for Elliot. So he's a character I've never really... Not that I haven't liked him. I've just never really found him particularly interesting. Bit of a shame, really. But to me, he's like, oh, I'm a poet and I write stuff. And it's just like, are you literally just trying to be a Victorian author? Is that literally your modus operandi? That doesn't appeal to me in any way, shape or form as a character trait. Also, I will freely admit, I'm quite fiercely dyslexic, which is really annoying. Like, you know, you learn your techniques to cope with it and such, which I have. So as long as somebody doesn't ask me to spell something, I'm generally okay. I can read perfectly fine. It's just I can't spell at all, and I find it difficult. The coping technique I actually worked on was my parents realised that I had issues writing. They didn't know I was dyslexic, but they're both teachers. And they realised that the best way for me to work is with a fountain pen. So, because it slows you down artificially, because you can't just write scribbly scrawls, because if you do, you're going to end up with ink all over your hands. So you have to be careful and think about it. And it actually helped me learn how to write carefully, and also allowed me to figure out a way of spelling. So if I actually want to spell something, I have to imagine myself writing it down, or actually write it down. You know, it works. But beside the point, I have issues with poetry. Like, a lot of issues with poetry. And it's partly because of a teacher I had when I was maybe 7. So I would have been, what, year 3? Yeah, I think it was year 3. Now, Mrs. Edwards was very keen on poetry and other miscellaneous media like it. And because of that, she forced us to read a lot of it as children, which, of course, that's going to make me really want to read more. And the other issue is she got us to write it. Now, of course, this was around the time that I knew I was dyslexic, but didn't really have any capability of doing anything about it. I say I knew I was dyslexic. I struggled with the ability to write stuff down. It wasn't until I was about 9 that my parents actually noticed it. My teacher at the time, Mrs. Gordon, she noticed, and she was really good about it. And it's difficult because she was like, well, he's intelligent, but he doesn't want to write anything. It's like, well, yeah, duh. But yeah, Mrs. Edwards insisted that we did loads of poetry, and I vehemently hate it now. Like, I absolutely despise poetry. I have no concept of why it's even a valuable media. I think it's a waste of time. So when in history classes, when I did my GCSE in history, and we're reading poetry from the front lines, I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't even rhyme. I don't understand. Why should I care? It's literally garbage. Even now, as a much later adult, I cannot read poetry. So maybe my anti-poetry status is what makes me dislike Elliot as a character, because I look at him and just think of him as a fop, a ridiculous, over-the-top poet that's just there to appeal to those who very much have fallen in love with Edgar Allan Poe. Maybe. I'm not sure. Or maybe I'm just a horrible person. Who knows? I mean, no, the horrible person thing is actually quite likely, to be fair, though. But it's a weird sort of turn of, like, a sequence of events that I look at a character and go, no, just don't care about you. So I think this playthrough, I am going to actively try and get a friendship with him. I've never, ever had a friendship with him as a character, because that's how much I hate him, because of his poetryness. Not the greatest way of looking at a character, I will freely admit, but it's one of those things, I guess. And it's an odd one. Like, everybody will create an automatic assumption when they look at characters and how they feel about them. It's, you know, the way that people do make an automatic assumption based on just looking at somebody. It's just how we work as a species. And there are some characters who I look at in the same way I look at Hayley and go, vapid, shallow, awful person. She's not that bad, but that's only because I spent the time to actually learn about her character. And in the same way, I look at Sebastian, and you just look at him and go, well, he's just an emo kid. But actually, there's loads to him, which I think is really interesting. Like, the motorcycle sequence with him is really cool. So that's what I need to do, is actually bother to pay attention to other characters. Also, how on earth does he keep his hair that luxurious when he lives in a hut on the beach? His hair must be caked in salt. How? I'm just so jealous. I used to have very long hair, and it's a lot of work. Like, I'm kind of glad that I don't have the long hair anymore. I do miss it deeply. I very much enjoyed what I looked like with it. It was just nice. I liked having it. But I know full well that I couldn't keep it in the same way that I probably should have done. I didn't really put as much care into my hair as I really should have done. But hey, that's just me speculating and making lots of weird noise, just for the sake of making lots of weird noise. Oh well. Although recently, having had the amusing moment of realising that I'm going grey, that made me panic a bit. But then I realised actually salt and pepper's not a bad look for a chap of my age. Right, so let's buy some melon seeds, because melons are actually quite useful because they're used in the cake. And also they're quite nice generally, they're high value. And it wouldn't hurt for me to have a couple of tomatoes, a couple of blueberries, peppers, and I think eggplants, because they constantly generate. So even if I have just the one in each, in the house, in a flower pot, I'll generate a small amount of those bits of crop constantly, which I don't think that'll hurt, to be fair. Might be useful. So next up, I'm going to go into the submarine. We're going to go down to the bottom again, and we're going to try and catch something a bit more useful. And I'm going to remember to leave before 12:30, because of course I left at 1 o'clock last time, and I did not get home in time. So essentially until I run out of energy, or 12:30 rolls around, and that's going to be the big test here. Of course, lots of fishing. The thing is, the fish in here, you'll always catch them at a basic level. That you can't get improved. Like, you're not going to get an iridium blobfish, which, you know, kind of sucks a bit, but that's just how this rolls. I wouldn't mind getting a couple of blobfish, because I think they're actually quite an amusing fish anyway. I don't think there's anything particularly exciting about them, to be fair. They're reasonably valuable, not like stupidly valuable, and their roe is okay. They just make weird stuff. I think the thing that you that makes them really useful is that they have they're one of those fish that can create warp totems. There aren't many that can, but if you can get yourself a look, because I think they do the farm or the mountain one. The mountain wouldn't make sense, would it? I think it might be the beach then. Either the farm or the beach. Either or. Because being able to generate farm warp totems, really, really handy. And that's something I should actually probably start making more of, is more of these warp totems, just so I can go home really quickly and just not actually have to worry. And I think that's not not exactly a bad thing to do. Okay, so let's see. Midnight squids, that's nice and useful. Some more seaweed, that's less useful. I mean, doesn't really make a huge amount of difference. Here we go. Come on. What have we got here? What will be helpful? Excellent stuff. So I've got some more of that. And come on. Hopefully we get something useful. Some more seaweed, don't really care. I mean, my energy is pretty much depleted here now, so might eat some of that seaweed just to keep going. But, you know, that's just kind of a thing. Now, one of the things that's coming up soon as well is, of course, the Feast of the Winter Star, which is quite pleasant because, of course, it's on the 25th. So it's this is analogous to Christmas. Oh, you swine! Get back on my rod! How dare you! And it's quite sweet. But it will be interesting to see what I could theoretically receive. Because, of course, what's the word? I've had a complete brain fart. I've forgotten where I was going there. I'm really powerful, I swear. Oh yeah, that was it. Like, I wonder what sort of thing I could actually obtain, and what I could receive from the actual important event itself, because any adult could be, and some of the children can be, can give you things, but it's just trying to remember who could give what. Because I've received like weird stuff from like I remember having had Robin as a gift giver a few times when I've played it. The only reason I remember is because she just gave me 100 wood. Just Happy Christmas. Here's 100 logs. Thanks, Robin. I mean, I'm glad you really thought about your present you gave me there. That's like my mad auntie who got really into Sudoku one year and insisted on giving everyone Sudoku, which I still haven't opened, and it was probably 20 years ago. That's quite worrying. I've never been a big number puzzles person. Doesn't really do it for me. But then again, I don't really sit down and just do puzzles like that. Not since I was a child. Like, I'd do those sorts of things when I was travelling. Like, as a kid, there was a lot of travelling to the far north of the United Kingdom. As I had family who live up in Newcastle. Whereas I live on, well, as a child I lived on the far south coast, so it was a 6.5 hour drive. You just learn to get good at it. Righty, so I've actually caught myself a blobfish. Hurrah! I'm quite excited by this because blobfish are hideously ugly and are kind of interesting. Right, okay, so it's not quite 1 o'clock when we're going up. Fingers crossed, I should make it back to the house in time. Okay, so as you can see, so we're nearly at the surface. Okay, right. Run! Quickly! Sprint, walrus! Sprint, my dear child! There we go. So we're going to teleport back home for 250. We've already purchased the artwork. We don't need to worry more about that. Inventory is full. Why am I trying to grab stuff? I should just get into bed. There we go. So I've made it back to the house. So, once again, thank you for watching and listening along to the Walrus Plays Stardew Valley. And if you've enjoyed, please do like, comment, share and subscribe. And I will catch you on the next one.